films of Mel Gibson. He's really only directed 3 of them. Mm-hmm. He's been a big star, and now for the last 2, he's used a lot of his own money. Mm-hmm. But he's directed 3 films. Just name them: Braveheart, yes, The Passion of the Christ, and now Apocalypto. Right. So make your first comments, my dear friend.
Well, I'll tell you. I think it's probably not since like, I guess, Bud Bowditch, have you seen anyone so interested in the rituals of punishment, mm-hmm. As the capping part of any adventure film. Gibson, who seemed like a very insouciant lover of the action movie in the old days, when you saw him in the Mad Max movies, which were just like nothing but chase and nothing as innocent of deeper and more painful context than as a Warner Brothers cartoon, mm-hmm. has suddenly become, I guess, had some sort of latent life wrestling with religion and the spirituality and the idea of how much punishment a hero must take. He's another one of those guys that got kind of hit over the head real hard with a copy of A Hero with a Thousand Faces. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I find especially repellent in his films, is the emphasis on torture. Mm-hmm. They're like waiting, sitting there and waiting for the torture sequence to begin, is what throws me off of his films. What about you?
Well, about The Hero with a Thousand Faces and Late in Life, yeah. I think he's just been a very, very strict Catholic, an old school Catholic. He does not like the new changes the church is going through.
Right. Yeah, he's like Latin
and
master.
There is definitely this sense of the hero suffering, the hero going through trials. And I think that would be very acceptable. It certainly was acceptable in The Passion of the Christ. And I think it would be acceptable if it just wasn't so bloody and gory to the American audience.
That's the core of his audience, yeah. And unfortunately, it's a very small core. I think mm-hmm. You have that kind of Venn diagram that has that accompanies love of gore with like a real religious context. And mm-hmm. now we've seen from the failing box office on this that there's like a peak of young men that want to make sure they can take it, that mm-hmm. they can watch this and like take all this suffering, and then it falls off after that. Yeah.
To me, there has been a definite progression in the films, not as far as content mm-hmm. are concerned, but I think the films have gotten better and better. And I think, content aside, I think that he really is more than a first-rate director. I mean, when I look at this film, and I do look at them dispassionately, I can't get involved in them emotionally. When I look at the shots, when I look at the editing,
emotionally either. You hit a nail on the head. Yeah. It's too distancing.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't think punishment's a part of life, but
mm-hmm. It's extreme, and it's not realistic in the end. It's very stylized, everything, even the shooting. But the point that I want to make is that he really just lays out these scenes,
right?
And gets great cinematographers, and I'm sure he's doing most of the editing, because I think it almost looks like it's storyboarded. Mm-hmm. He is really an amazing director, and content aside, but as I said, I was totally sucked into Apocalypto, and as you know, I really thought that The Passion of the Christ really worked as well.
Well, that's where I have to depart from. Right. I find it, I think that it just misses so much of the aspects of the story that could have been so emotionally involving, because he's so fascinated with rituals of pain.
Yeah. Anyway.